guys, it's Katie. Welcome back to Magnolia Acres. Today's video is going to be a pretty quick one. I wanted to just address a question that I see a lot online being asked about kind of how cold is too cold for goats to be outside. So I took some footage that you're going to see about a week and a half ago or so when we had our first really cold morning. I think it was about 23 or 24 degrees when I put the girls outside. So I just kind of showed some of the things that I do for them when they're out on a really cold day, and then also some signs to look for to kind of help you determine if your goats are too cold or if they're doing okay dealing with the weather change. This time of year is kind of hard on their bodies just because of going back and forth between warm and cold weather. It can be, I mean, here in Arkansas, we have days where we can have a low of 20 one day and then a high of 80 the next. So that's a really big swing in temperature for them. So I just kind of go over some of the things that I watch for and some of the things that I do just to keep my goats as comfortable as possible. So let's watch that footage. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the cold and how cold is too cold. You can see all my goats are getting kind of fluffy. Feline here thinks she's dying because it got cold in Arkansas last night. Goldie's growing a pretty good winter coat, but she's not even all fluffed up right now. Like, she's pretty comfortable out here. We dropped down to 26 last night, which that's cold for November in Arkansas. But I see the question online a lot about, is it too cold for my goats? And one way that I determine that, the baby's over here, is how well is their rumen working? Because that is really the determining factor on if they can maintain their body temperature. You're not coming out here with the big girls. They're still too big for you. Once they are about 12 weeks old, you can be pretty sure that they have a pretty good functioning rumen. And that's kind of on the high end of the spectrum. But once they have, if you are seeing them eat grass or hay, grain, and you are seeing them chew cud, then they have a functioning rumen. Once they're chewing cud regularly, their rumen is functioning. And that is the number one factor in if they are able to maintain their body temperature without outside assistance. So the next thing that you want to do is, if your goats are outside and it's a little colder than usual, they need to have something to eat. If they're eating hay, then their rumen is working and their body is creating heat and they will stay warm. You might see a little bit of shivering. That's okay. As long as they're not like all tail tuck, back hunched, shivering, you know, their whole body, they're doing okay. They really, Nita, don't be mean. They really do good. You know, they have these thick coats that they grow thicker as, hi Goldie, winter is coming. She's grown all this hair. They get a down underneath, and they really stay warm. I mean, Clover here, she's a little fluffed up this morning, so she's a little colder than Goldie, but she's not shivering or anything. She's standing here chewing cud. She's staying warm. Ow, that's my hair. So yeah, those are some of the main factors that you want to take into consideration about, is it too cold for my goats? You can see Coda is getting real fluffy. She's grown quite a winter coat already. I've been saying I'm worried we're gonna have a pretty rough winter this year because my animals are all growing a real thick winter coat. And you'd be surprised how accurate that is. What do you think there, Opie girl? But yeah, so those are some of the main things. Make sure they have some hay to eat. If there's no browse, our pasture, there's still some stuff out here for them to nibble on, but they've eaten this down pretty good. And now that we're into November, we do have some winter grass that's growing. I'm not sure what this is over here, but I've noticed in the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've got some winter grass growing in. So they've still got a significant amount of stuff out here to nibble on, but it's pretty chilly right now. It's about 27 degrees when I looked at the temperature when I was coming outside. So I decided I would go ahead and throw them some hay just for something easy for them to eat. But yeah, you can see, I mean, even the baby and Achu, Effie and Achu are over there. They're doing fine. They're nibbling on hay. They've got the barn on the side that the wind generally comes in on. So that's a good windbreak for them. And these does also, like if it gets windy, they can go right up next to the barn and get a break from the wind. It's another thing to consider, is do they have somewhere to get out of the elements and the wind? And you know, my girls get put inside if it starts to rain or something, but if it's windy, they'll just go stand up against the barn to kind of get a windbreak. So yeah. So I hope that helped you guys and answered any questions that you might have about when it's too cold for your goats to be outside, what things you need to look for, and how you can make them as comfortable as possible. Please, if this video was beneficial to you, be sure to like it and subscribe. And if you have any questions at all, please drop those down in the comments and I will do my very best to answer them. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you next time.